Well, I guess we got to talk about some bystanders at this point, right? let's move. Let's move on, man. Let's move on. Another game was played Sunday. Uh, I think this team may overlook this team, or maybe they just don't know how to play in week 2. I don't know, but we got to talk about the Dallas Cowboys, and we got to say, man, well, is it the same? Shout out to Bibby for this one. Oh, so Cowboys lose 44-19. We got to ask, man, was the Cowboys loss a bad sign or a bad game? Like I said, Cowboys lose 44-19. The loss to the Saints is a cause for concern, but some want to say, is it too early? I got two haters in the comments already. I was waiting for the other drop. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not even gonna lie. I was waiting for the other one. Is this loss a bad sign or a bad game? I can't say it's a bad game because I don't watch this team do this plenty of times before. So how many times can you have a bad game with almost similar results with similar players? Like at that point, you got to say it's a bad sign, right? You got a coach who's on his last deal. You got 99% of the team who's on their last deal outside of the two main stars and maybe a couple people on the offensive line. So there's a lot of 1-year deals there. Defensive coordinator, same thing. You really have there's no actual foundation. It's like a mud house, kind of like what the Commander's field is. Ain't that right, Mark? With them two dips that you all got. See, Joe, this is not for you. Somebody asking for it, so they got to get it. It's really just one of those things where everything that worked against the Browns, you come out next week and treat this game like it's a preseason game and just flip it. You got you got a free safety returning punts returning kicks when you already have a kick returner. You don't start Zeke, you start Rico Dowdle just to see what's going to actually happen. You go down 36-12, I think, at some point, and you got packages for Deuce Vaughn actually happening at this point. You got a rookie wide receiver, maybe third year. I think Jalen Brooks is probably second or third year. You got him out there running in routes against, I would say maybe that second or third year cornerback. Maybe Kool-Aid was on him when he got that pick. Was that Kool-Aid or was that Adobe? I don't know. But still, there's too many tests that was happening in a game where you actually know you need it. Now, if you're playing in a preseason week 2 and you're like, all right, let's figure out what we got here, guys. Let's just go out there and throw some things out there and see if it sticks. You do that. Or when you finally go up against the Browns, maybe 21, 24. I don't know how many points we was just beating up on the Browns at that point. That's when you try things, when you're winning. You don't try things when you can clearly see that your team is almost looking like they're playing the Green Bay Packers, but with black jerseys on at this point. Because that game looked just like that playoff game. So, yeah, to me, it's a bad sign. Will they bounce back next week? Dallas is known for bouncing back after bad losses like that. I don't know if they're going to win it because I picked them to actually lose it. So for the Cowboys to start off 1-2 was already in my mind, but I didn't see us losing to the Saints, and not this bad. Joe?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a bad sign because when I watched the Browns game, I mentioned on there like the Cowboys had 2 good drives. They won that game defensively, and we acknowledged the Browns had 2 missing linemen on the right side, so that was an advantage, right? Y'all got killed in the trenches on both sides of the ball. I mean, Derek Carr had all the time in the world to throw the ball. For every big play to develop, he had all the time in the world in the pocket. And then Kamara, like even him, he didn't have to. It's rare that he had to avoid a rusher in the backfield. By the time he made contact with the first defender, he's like 2-3 yards deep into the hole. It's like dang, the defensive line was getting bullied. And then that last touchdown when they ran on Marco Parsons' side was funny because they scored Marco Parsons around like he was lost. I'm like, bro, they ran to your side. Offensively, the offensive line couldn't hold up for Dak. Like Dak really didn't have no time in the pocket like that. Dak did miss a couple. I'm not gonna put this on the offense. Dak did miss a couple of throws. He missed CD when he had a defender beat. And the first interception wasn't on him, but the second one was definitely him. He threw it in triple coverage, basically. And the fumble he had kind of almost messed y'all up. But defensively, man, it was a big problem. Like that's I'd be a worry with me if I'm y'all. Like y'all were getting bullied on the defensive side of the ball in the trenches. Now, I do want to ask you this question because in the offseason, after that Green Bay Packers game, a lot of talk was like, oh, They need some linebackers. They ain't got no linebackers, right? And now the talk is they don't got no D tackles. They need some D tackles. All right. So tell me what's your thoughts on that.
Well, we need a D tackles too. What's the one thing I've been talking about since we started? Since I started hosting on
Yeah.
Refuse to Lose is, bro, we don't have no defensive tackles. Like
Yeah.
we don't have them. Like, and then we went out and got linebackers. I mean, we got some linebackers. They was actually proven that they was making plays. We don't have safeties playing linebacker. Now, one of the things that I heard, and shout out to Joe for jumping in. I was in on one of the Twitter spaces, and I'll share that with my last words about just Twitter Spaces and where the Twitter Spaces versus the chats is how you kind of meet similar people. It's just funny, but going into the off season after the Packers game, and we see how the off season went. That's why I was telling you all on the show is like, look, I have nothing to say about this team. Like, you can't expect too much. Like, this is what you're going to get when you don't go out and actually add to your team. Everybody in the division got better. However, it's going to be tough, but I still see us winning some of those games. But other than that, this is the result of you not trying to make your team better. Like, you're going to have games like this. You're missing out on key pieces. You got Michael Parsons still on the edge when you said you're going to put him at linebacker. I mean, Dan Quinn is in D.C. That's some stuff that Dan Quinn told us that he was going to do with Michael Parsons and never did it. This looked like the same exact game. No adjustments was made. The worst part about it, another reason why it's a bad sign is the coordinator. Zimmer at one point was over there like this. What y'all want me to do? Like, I can't do nothing. And we talked about it off the air before we started the show. But the offensive coordinator for the Saints, Kubiak, right? I know he is Kyle Shanahan's boy, but another insider scoop is that he was with Zimmer when he was in with Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
So that right there, well, I seen this defense. I know what he's gonna do, and I know the weak spots. Let's go get him. Oh yeah, I know we're gonna beat the Commanders though, Mark.
Yeah, same old song, man. That's why it should be worried because it's like, dang, week 2, and it was at home. Y'all was undefeated at home last year,
Was it?
so it could be a good thing I got. I don't know, and it was a worst loss of the year, probably outside of the Panthers loss. You know,
It's gonna happen with us. That's why it's the same old song. It's gonna happen with us. Like, this is the Cardinals game. We weren't supposed to lose that game. And here you go. Now we're gonna get to week 16. Let's say we are fighting for a playoff spot. And now they're like, well, if you only would have beat the Saints in week 2, maybe you would have had the 1 seed. Like, it's stuff like that. So it is what it is. Football is a strange lady, but we still dance with that lady at times. Now we got to move on to the victors. You got anything else you want to add to that, Joe? Or you good?
I'm good.